Welcome to Commissioner's Corner. I'm your host, Lois Leonard, and thank you for joining us. Have you heard what goes up may come down? Well, that's the motto of Boston's Inspectional Services as they honor National Building Safety Month. Today, we'll hear their plan to prevent, prepare, and protect. Inspectional Services is a multifaceted department, and we'll learn how important they can be to us in so many ways. Talking with us is the newly appointed Commissioner, Sean Lydon, and Supervisor of Building and Structures, Cheryl Odom. So thank you both so much for joining us today. It's really wonderful to have you, especially since both of you are so busy these days. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having us.
Wonderful. So Commissioner, let's start with you. Please, what is Building Safety Month?
Building Safety Month is the month of May, implemented by the International Code Council. The state of Massachusetts follows the ICC along with the Massachusetts amendments for building code, and obviously we have local zoning regulations in the city of Boston. What it does, it's a way to shed light on possible repairs that can be made, potential hazards, and potential costly fixes to buildings by taking a look. A lot of these can be mitigated long before they become a hazard or potential much more costly. That's why the month of May is dedicated to that. And Mayor Kim Janey has adopted the month of May for Building Safety Month in the city of Boston.
I assume we are talking about both residential and commercial buildings?
Absolutely. It's both residential and commercial buildings are inclusive in the month of May and Building Safety Month. And once again, it's in the city of Boston, it's an old city. And what we have awareness, trying to bring awareness by, if you see something may be wrong. And once again, it doesn't hurt to question. And we at ISD, we're more than willing to help and more than willing to take site visits and answer questions and identify potential hazards long before, once again, they get to a safety problem, a safety issue, or potential, large cost fix.
Well, it sounds like an awfully big job. Supervisor Odom, how can a campaign like this help?
A campaign like this helps because we're often seen as a regulatory agency and with protocol to follow. This campaign gives us an opportunity to educate the public that we're interested in their homes, in their buildings, and how they maintain it, so it doesn't have a hazard on our community.
Well, I would imagine that identifying problems in a proactive manner might be extremely helpful. And we're talking about both residential and commercial properties. Can you give me an example perhaps of how, any tenant of any building, they can, if they notice something in a building, how can they proactively be involved and help?
Well, they can notify the ownership of the building or the management team of the building. Say, for example, they're walking their dog around the building, they look up and they notice that some of the mortar joints are thin or worn, and there's concrete little bits around the building as they walk. They may want to mention it to management and say, hey, I know it's a bunch of concrete, some mortar on the ground. Is it coming from the joints up above? And that would proactively get them engaged in probably following our facade program that has been instituted for quite some time now, as well as if they're walking and they're looking across the street and they see a chimney leaning. Chimney typically stands straight and tall. There could be a structural failure there. Those are just some simple examples.
Sure, but the simple things can really go a long way, I'm sure.
True, so true.
Well, as the commissioner mentioned, Mayor Janey did issue a proclamation designating May as National Building Safety Month. What's the next step in making this campaign a success? Either one of you, whoever would like to jump in.
Okay, basically, Mayor Janey is going to do a walkthrough with inspectors from ISD. We're going to begin in the north end. And I'd like to expand a little bit on what Supervisor Odom said with masonry structures. The north end is an absolutely stunning part of the city. A beautiful architecture. It goes quite a way back with just, gorgeous detail that you don't see in a lot of other cities in the United States.
It is very
masonry,
special.
very, very special. And Mayor Janey is going to walk in conjunction with the inspectors of ISD and bring awareness to different possible potential issues. Masonry is actually absorbs water. It will absorb water. Water will get behind certain elements, facades of buildings, and there's a freeze-thaw cycle. You know, obviously with the weather here in New England, you have two extremes, and it does create potential hazards as mortar joints, as Supervisor Odom has pointed out. They need to be addressed. And it's a pretty relatively simple fix early on.
Supervisor Odom, maybe you can help me out with this one. We've talked about some mortar, but as inspectors do walkthroughs like this, whether it's with Mayor Janey or on any other typical day, what are some of the other things that inspectors can actually see, you know, with the visual eye as they're doing a walkthrough like this?
Well, we can notice roof lines, whether or not the shingles are dried out and causing water infiltration there. We can see paint peeling on balusters, on decking, which means that the wood composite has absorbed water, which is now not allowing that barrier of paint to be another layer of protectiveness, like our skin.
Okay.
So with that, over time, people walk on it. You get holes in the planking or in the decking. It becomes weak. Sometimes you see the nails pop on that, and that's a tripping hazard. It could also be if someone is carrying a heavy load of material, let's say carrying a refrigerator or a bed or moving items in and out of the home, could also be a hole made by them stepping on it, and then someone could actually hurt themselves.
And how would, you know, a typical building owner, how would they learn how to do this kind of walkthrough for themselves? Does the city offer any guidance and help in that sort of way?
Absolutely. The city's ready, you know, here at ISD, we're readily available. You know, if individuals want to reach out to us, our ward inspectors would be more than happy to walk a property with an individual, a homeowner, you know, and have them, if they have a concern about something, you know, be it porches, once again, fire escapes. Our inspectors are very, very capable of pointing out certain situations and guiding them through the process and what it's going to take. And it's a very simple process, actually. And we're here to work with you in ISD. That's our goal, to work with you to ensure the safety.
And then what happens if a violation is found through the walkthrough? What happens next?
Okay. If a violation is found, depending upon the severity of it, you know, we will actually, we will take action. As Supervisor Odom said, we are, you know, we're a public safety agency, and we have to take action. But chances are that it's not at a critical point, and we will work with the individual, the homeowner, the resident, the renter, the commercial business owner. Let's get it done. I like to also point out, you know, in a lot of situations, there's brilliant resources available through Department of Neighborhood Development. You know, in the city of Boston, they can reach out. Perhaps there might be some resources available to individuals, you know, particularly the homeowners. And as far as some help goes there in the financial aspect.
So we're doing everything we can today to get the word out about this National Safety Month. What else? How are you guys getting the word out? Using any social platforms? And
we are basically, we have Facebook and Twitter. You know, we have our media staff. Lisa Timberlake does a fantastic job of reaching out and local newspapers and the neighborhood newspapers, and we're very, very, she's very adept and very, very good at reaching out and the help that ISD can offer.
Great. Well, we'll make sure we put this information on the screen if it's not already there, but we want to get the word out. Mayor is very involved. She's going to do a walkthrough through the North End. What about later in the month of May? What's the next step in this process? Later
in the month, we have basically the whole month of May is dedicated, and at any point in time, anybody can reach out to us. You know, obviously during the whole year, but we're dedicating May as a user friendly, and we're going to get out. We're going to be out in the neighborhoods. May is a time, traditionally in the springtime, people are going to be outside looking at their property, you know, they're tending their garden. Let's keep Boston beautiful and safe. And so we're basically, you know, we're going to be out and around the neighborhoods, you know, willing to reach out. We have beautiful door knockers, wonderful door knockers with great information that we'd like to drop off and have people reach out to us, and we're more than willing to help.
Keeping Boston beautiful and safe. That's going to be our soundbite, Commissioner.
Outstanding. Sounds very, very good.
Now, what about some educational possibilities for owners and tenants? Any educational piece to this that's going to be happening this month?
We're actually discussing right now, in the middle of discussing different types of clinics and online walkthroughs for permitting processes, and very simplified. And we have to give great kudos to our IT team also, who made it so easy during the last year, made it very, very simplified as far as, you know, permitting online. And
lots of information online. I believe I also read online that there was going to be a 2-hour seminar at the end of May, perhaps, where people can sign up and attend, I would assume virtually.
Absolutely, that'll be there, and that'll be, once again, it'll be on our social media site, you know, how to sign up, and we'll be giving a presentation with Chief Irish, obviously, and Mayor Kim Janey will be giving different presentations on various topics on what to look for, and what to see, and how to go about the permitting process and stuff.
Well, we definitely want to let the public know about that. That's a very important tool for people to take advantage of. Commissioner, you mentioned earlier, or maybe it was Supervisor Odom, I apologize, but I heard the phrase Boston's facade ordinance. Now, I have to admit, I don't know what that is. Can you perhaps, one of you, explain that, what the facade ordinance is?
Supervisor Odom, please.
The facade ordinance is in place to every 5 years that a building at least 0 to 125 feet in height, they do some type of visual inspection of the exterior skin of the building. Different techniques apply to based on the height of a building. There is an engineer involved. They give us report on the structural integrity of the exterior facade. Nowadays, we have drones. They go and take little pictures of different sides of the building, the north side, the west side, one that has the most exposure to the sun, one that has the least exposure to the sun, and the wear and tear of the building. In that report, there are recommendations made by the engineer on how to keep the facade intact. That report is given to us, once again, every 5 years. It is at a minimum cost of $100, if I'm correct, as we speak today. There's been no changes in it. And we move forward. We have a whole database of those particular buildings that have given us their facade report. Besides facades, we also have egress programs for residential as well as for commercial. The egress program is for fire escapes, fire balconies, wooden stairways. They secure the services, once again, of a structural engineer. If it's wrought iron, then they have a G3 license. If it's wood, then we look for someone who has a construction supervisor's license. That report is given to us, once again, every 5 years. As we speak, it's $50, so it's like $10 a year.
Now, we already talked about Boston being an extremely old city compared to much of the rest of the country. Do you find that has a bearing on your job and what we're experiencing here in Boston, since we are an older city?
Yes, and not to mention just the weather. As Commissioner Lydon mentioned, we have a winter here. So when it rains and it's, say you have a fire balcony connected to a brick building and the water gets behind the actual attachment, we have a freeze when it freezes when it's cold, thaws when it's warm. So we have this movement. And with this movement, sometimes those attachments become detached. And that's where the structural engineer or the licensed professional would give us the status of the report. That status of the report is also shared with the homeowner of the building, the structure.
I used to say, as a homeowner, water, I think, accounts water damage and the effects of water in my house. That probably affects more money that goes out with repairs on my side. Water is really horrible to deal with when it's in the wrong place.
Yes, it is.
You are correct. I mean, water infiltration into a building can lead to mold, upper respiratory problems. If it's not addressed, if, let's say, for example, you have a downspout on your building and you don't have an elbow or some sort of deviation away from your foundation, you can actually have that water keep pressing down on the ground, on the asphalt, and cause holes and damage to your foundation.
Right. And a lot of the high winds that we've had in recent weeks and months has blown a lot of those things away from, you know, as you talk about the U joints and so good advice, good things to think about that we have to think about. But, you know, for new developers, I would imagine that trying to process all of the rules and regulations and the paperwork that has to be filed, how does, that can be challenging. How does one get started if you are a relatively new building or homeowner or commercial building owner?
It's once again, our IT team, you know, they really stepped up to the plate in this past year. As you know, obviously with social distancing, you know, we were very limited in the capabilities to have individuals commit to 1010 and apply for permits in person, paper trail. It is very, very user friendly. Once again, you go to our website, City of Boston website, ISD permitting, and if the individual is having a difficult time, always very welcome to reach out, and we will guide them one-on-one, you know, right through the phone even. You know, you call 311, a great resource, and they will direct to ISD, and our staff will walk them right through the process. And we also will take appointments if there is.
As you said, this pandemic year is just been horrific in many ways, but and through it, only essential, well, not through a good part of it, only essential construction was allowed. Are you experiencing, is your department now experiencing a backlog of requests? How are you handling the workload?
I think now it's basically, now with the weather coming around and kind of a breath of fresh air coming from the governor,
yes,
to Mayor J&E, and opening up, restrictions easing a little bit. It seems like people are chomping at the bit to get out, to make repairs. But once again, our staff, we're working remotely. They have the resources to process permits, to ask for additional information, and we've been doing that. And particularly in the next coming months, we will see a huge uptick in permitting applications, but we intend to meet that head on, and we will greet it. We're looking to get the city open, looking to get people back to work, and more so, we have done an outstanding job, in my opinion, as far as the city goes, as far as keeping people to keep critical applications open. We have done that. We're looking very forward to coming through this, getting the students back, getting the restaurants open, getting the parks open and for everybody to enjoy. We're very looking forward to it.
That sounds good to me. Now, I know, Commissioner, you lead a very large department. You oversee a health division, environmental, sanitation, weights and measures. So what are some of the other priorities, if you will, that you're facing right now on your agenda?
I think the priorities, you know, small businesses for the most part. Let's get the neighborhood businesses up and at them. Let's give them the attention, the focus, the resources. Let's get them inspected. Let's get the health, you know, the health inspecting. Let's get the certifications done. Let's focus on the small businesses. You know, the larger construction companies, they've done a spectacular job as far as their COVID policy goes, their implementation of such policy, and the recommendations that they have made. We have accommodated them as far as work goes. I think we have to focus on the smaller businesses now, the mom and pops. Let's get them open. Let's get the city back in, eating there and having a cocktail there. Let's do it. Let's get it done, and let's move forward.
Great. Commissioner Sean Lydon and Supervisor Cheryl Odom, we do thank you both so much for your time, your service to the city. And is there anything else that you'd like to add today? Any message that we haven't gotten out there yet?
I think we touched bases pretty well, and I appreciate your time and the opportunity to you know, use you as a medium, basically, to get the message of ISD. We're here for you. We are here to serve the people of the city of Boston. we are, obviously, we are a regulatory body, but we're here to serve. It's our job to take care of the people of the city of Boston and help.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And we'll do our best to get the word out. We'll get all the websites and information on our screen as well. So that's helpful. And I have a feeling there's going to be much more to discuss in the near future. So I hope we'll see you, both of you, back here on the show soon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
For more information, please visit ISD's social media platforms, Twitter at ISD Boston, Facebook at City of Boston ISD, and their website, boston.gov/ISD. And thank you, our viewers, for watching. Boston is one of our country's oldest cities, and it's our responsibility to keep it safe and structurally sound so that we can continue to thrive and meet our expectations for the future. We want our neighborhoods to be here for a very long time. I'm Lois Leonard, and we'll see you next time on Commissioner's Corner.